Welcome to the Jess Turner Talk Show. And today we have a real interesting guest here, and he's going to talk to us about a few things. Now, we're talking about all of this, this gang life, all this violence in America today, starting with Afghanistan, Iraq, you name it. It's been going on, and it's right here in our backyard. What I mean in our backyard, in different clubs and so forth, neighborhoods and so forth. And first I'm gonna let him introduce himself, your name.
John Fisher.
And he's a California guy also. And he's gonna tell us today about your grandson, right?
Grandson.
Yeah, his grandson. And he's very fond of his grandson, you know, but he got caught up in the wrong company, which we all do, because I did it myself. I got in the wrong company, you know, and well, I got out of it, you know, but sometimes you don't get out of it. And we're going to let him tell us exactly what happened, his grandson, about his grandson and everything, when it happened and how it happened, and when he went home to the funeral.
Okay, my grandson's name is Angelo Kyer. He was 18 years old. Peer pressure is something that I understand because I went through the same thing with peer pressure with people, with peers on the street. But anyway, my crime does not pay off because my grandson, he was using drugs, using weed, and going in people's houses. And when their houses are in San Francisco, in Sunnydale, California, and he constantly going in people's houses. And so one day they got tired of it. My daughter Nicole, his mother, told me about it, about what he was doing. So one day they caught up with him on Sunnydale and Santos, right in front of the housing authority, and they let him. He was robbing his friends, people he associated with, people he smoked weed with, people he go to nightclubs with. They set him up. They got him high, and walking down the street. One of his fellow peers came behind him and shot him in the back of the head. And my daughter called me and told me that my grandson was gone. He's the second oldest of my grandkids, and he was playing in the devil's backyard. And this is what comes out to be when you start playing in the devil's backyard. And like I have talked to him about it because he always wanted to be like his uncle. And with me, you know, I almost grew up in prison, in institution. I started in juvenile. I started in California Youth Authority, and I went to prison for 24 years of my life. And then take me until I was around about 53 years old. I'm 60 now. It took me around about until I was 54 years old to stop doing what I'm doing. And I came here to Texas to get my life together. And my brother-in-law, Jess Turner, he's married to my sister Nancy Turner, and she was suicide prevention. But you know, and I come down here to see her. But I found God. I found something better than being out there in the street. I found God, and God came into my life, and also God granted me a wife, Madeline Fisher, and two stepkids, Adrian and Valerie, and when I was riding back to California, I was thinking about my grandson Angelo. I kept telling him he kept wanting to come out here to Texas, and I said, I get you. But not knowing that he was doing all that kind of stuff, going to people's houses in Sunnydale, robbing them, stealing, burglarizing. And so now he's gone. But one thing I think he did, I hope he prayed that he gave his life to God. But being out there in them streets, you can be in the street, but you don't have to be of the streets. And what I mean about being in the street, I mean, you can be more productive by getting you a job, getting your education, and doing the right thing. But when you become of the street, you become a dope dealer. You become a dope user. You be a candidate for prison. You be a candidate for the graveyard. And they come to find out my grandson was a candidate for graveyard because they set him up.
And you said he wanted to come to Texas?
Yes, he wanted to come to Texas. And I was getting ready to get him, and now he's gone.
So when you got the call and you had to drive all the way back to California?
Yes, me and my wife, my wife and my two stepkids, we drove all the way back to California and went to the funeral. And one thing about going there to a funeral there, you see all the people that was surrounded around my grandson, and half of them knew and was part of him getting killed.
But they wouldn't say anything.
They wouldn't say anything, but they was in the funeral.
Well, see, that's the way gang life is.
That's the way the gang life is.
So nobody gonna say anything about what happened.
Right.
Cause they're not gonna tell on each other.
No, they're not.
You know, cause I've seen it happen all over. You know, California, and Sunnydale, Double Rock, Hunters Point.
Right.
They brought a young girl home. She was about 17 years old. They brought her home that night, late, and laid on her mother and father's doorstep, and took off. And they woke up the next morning. She wasn't. They had been looking for her all night, but they didn't think to look outdoors, and there she was. But they got up the next morning and opened up the door to go out, and there she was laying there dead. Been dead all that time. So that's just where the gang life is. But also, you had another tragedy when you went to California.
Oh yes, when I did go to California, this is why I said about being in touch with God. I had got sick, and I almost died. I went to the funeral. I helped with the funeral. I did somewhat helping with the preaching, with the comments and stuff. But all this time I was sick. I was dying, and I had gallstone removed, my prostate removed, and my liver cleaned, and my liver was just like water. And I was dying. I almost died. I was dead for a while, but God came. But you know, God is good. He came in. He always been. He went with me because when I got sick, I thought I had bleeding ulcers. But I called my sister, and she told me to go into the hospital. And the doctor told me my blood pressure was 200 over 140, and I was practically walking dead. And so they told me they had to meet me in the hospital.
So how many surgeries did you have?
I had 4.
4 surgeries while you was there.
Well, I was there 4 surgeries at one time.
So you went home to attend your grandson's funeral, and you ended up having 4 surgeries.
4 surgeries. And, you know, and like, you know, and one thing that I want to tell the young people out there, listen. When you out there being of the street, you set yourself up.
Yeah.
Now you can be in the street, like I said, being proper, getting your education, going to school, going to the army. But when you're of the street, you're digging a hole in the ground where that you're ready to bury yourself, and you have to understand that you know that your life is very important because God gives His life to you, and for no one to take it. But now my grandson, he's gone, and right now they're not even investigating his murder.
And how old did you say he was?
18 years old.
So was he was out of school then?
Yeah, he got kicked out of school. He got kicked out of school. So he was going, he was just going down here slowly. But
so if you think if you would have got him out here with you and you would have been kind of over him, his life might have changed.
He'd have lived a little longer. He'd have lived a little longer. But his attitude, you see, is not just getting him in one place. In order to have someone living with you, got to make preparation to change their attitude.
So you way you was telling me, you might not could have changed his attitude.
No, but I could have switched his location to stop him from doing what he's doing. And man, you know, and I believe, you know, because people don't understand when that children, they won't come back to the mother or father if the father's at home. Because usually a mother is home with she's the only person in the home. No, the father is not around. But what I'm saying is my grandson, he took his life slightly. He didn't treasure his life. So someone took his life.
Okay. So he wasn't working anything.
No, he wasn't working nothing but the streets.
So he was kicked out of school.
Yeah.
But could he have went and you know, they got different school like GED and all that.
Yes,
could,
he could.
Could he have went there?
Yeah, he could have went there, but his mind wasn't on that. But see, it's a crowd who he was dealing with. The situation. If you in a certain area with people that's not looking for nothing, that means you're not gonna get nothing.
Well, you can answer the phone, and we can. That's your phone.
Yeah.
Well, you can cut it off, and we'll just keep on going.
Okay.
Yeah, you let him cut the phone off. Now we can get started back again. Usually I have everybody turn the phones off before we get started, but I had forgot. Sometimes I forget my own phone, you know. But you know, so many kids out there, you know, in the same situation that his grandson was in, and they get caught up, you know. Like I tell a lot of kids, you know, it's time for kids to learn to be more of a leader and not a follower. Cause see, a follower is always going to get into something he don't want to get into. See, my mom and my dad always told me when I got up to know about myself, they said you never was a follower. You was always a leader. You wanted to be the leader of everything. And some of my school chums here in Texas told me the same thing. Said you always want to be the leader. I didn't know I was that, you know, way. You know, I demanded things, you know, but my wife tell me today, you want to take over. You want to be right on everything. Yeah, because we get in arguments sometimes. She said, you have to want to be right on everything. Because I don't agree. See, I'm me. And nobody's going to change me, you know. And if I think I'm right, I'm going to express it to you until you make me see that I am wrong. And I'm not a person to not want to tell you I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But if I'm right, I'm going to stick to it and I'm going to tell you I'm right. And I guess that's one reason why I never did get into things, you know, like his grandson did. And I got two big grandsons, and I tell them, look, and they also want to, they come back here to Texas telling everybody they like their granddaddy. I said, you can't talk that way because I was from a different era from you. You can't be like me. Nobody can be like me. You got to be like yourself.
That's right.
Pattern yourself and use this up here. Because you go to town and be like somebody else, you're going to get in trouble. I never did want to be like anybody but my dad. And I wasn't too much like him. A lot of people say you look like your dad, you do things like your dad, you're polite like your dad and all that. But still I have a lot of other ways. I did a lot of things my dad didn't do. Because I was a wild guy at one time. But you know, still I had enough, what you call that, they call it motherwit sense, to stay out of trouble, you know. And always, never, like I told my wife a lot of time when I was going out a lot, she said, you always, some people got you doing this. I said, baby, people are not getting me doing anything. I do it because I want to do it. Those people are following me. I don't do what they want me to do. And, you know, and like we here today, and I hope a lot of kids out there are listening to him talk about his grandson, because it's not good. Like he said, when it happened, nobody said nothing. Nobody didn't even, they didn't even talk to the police to tell them
No.
what happened.
No, they didn't do none of that.
Did that mean they wasn't his friends?
No.
See,
No.
they might tell you, they people will tell you, oh yeah, I got your back, I got your back. You know what? Only body that got your back, you know who it is? Jesus Christ. He got your back all the time. That you can run around all you want to, and hearing your friends talk about they got your back. I never did believe in that, because I remember one night I was coming from a club, and I got out of my car because I had to park the car down the street because we was living in an apartment. And I parked my car down the hill, and I was walking up the hill going up to the house because all the parking spots was took. Do you know, 3 guys jumped me. Why they jumped me? Because see, everybody know I carried a lot of money in my pocket all the time. I always carried a big chunk of money. That's one thing. I wouldn't even pay bills a lot of times because I want to keep the money in my pocket. They repossessed my car 3 times because I wouldn't pay on it, you know. Keep the money in your pocket and show off at the club, you know. And I was going home that night, and these guys jumped me, gonna rob me. Now, I fought them off, and I guess because a guy down the street, he was supposed to be my friend. He told me the next day he saw me. And I said, well, why the heck you didn't come and try to help me out? 3 of them on me? Well, after you give them such a beating, man, they took off toward running. I said, but what if they got the best of me? You would just let them just beat me up and take my money. Oh, man, where you fight, I know they wasn't going to get the best of you. But you see, he didn't have my back. So I don't believe nobody telling me they got my back. Now, they probably told his grandson the same thing. We got your back. You know, and let somebody... Now, they slipped up behind him and shot him?
Yeah, you know, first they got high with him.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, once they get high, you know, and they not thinking.
Mm-hmm.
They walking down the street. He ain't thinking about nothing. And the same people that are walking down the street, the 3rd person came behind and shot him in the head. And the same people that was, and I believe some of them came to his funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Came to his funeral. And that's how gang life is out there in the streets.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I say, you know, you can be in the street, but you can be also gonna be of the street. But if you're of the street, you're in trouble. But when you're in the street, you can do something better with your life. You don't have to mess with no drugs. You don't have to mess with no one that not doing nothing for themselves. You can get your education, and plus you can listen to your parents. And that's one thing you need to do. If your mother and father, especially your mother, if she tell you something that you shouldn't do, you need to listen to, because Jonathan, Angelo, his mother kept telling him, I feel something about you, something gonna happen. And he went out the next night that she had got a call. He was dead.
And he wasn't even living in Sunnydale, was he?
No, he was staying in
Brentwood?
in Brentwood, in Oakley, California, right outside of Oakland. And he was so hooked to be in San Francisco.
So he was a long way from home then.
Yeah, he was a long way, but he thought he was at home in Sunnydale because he grew up there. His father was staying there, and his grandmother, but he got his life taken. Now he's no longer. You know, and they celebrated his birthday on the 16th of November this year. And they celebrated, and they got his ashes in the base.
Yeah. Did he have any sisters?
Yes, he had 3 other sisters. He had 3 other sisters and 2 other brothers. 3 other brothers. And they his brother, his oldest brother, Duran and Lil Lawrence and Devontae and Larisha and Jaja, you know, they miss him.
yeah, that's why I'm just ready to ask you, you know, how they taking it now, cause I know that's not, haven't been that long, you know, just a few weeks ago, so how they taking everything? And the
Well,
mother and-
they missing. They missing. But that's all. But see, that like I told him, only thing you can do is take the happy moments that you was with him, and cherish that. Because he no longer he's with God. Because one thing you got to understand, in order to live, you must die.
Yeah. So, did he have a girlfriend or anything like
Yeah,
that?
he had a girlfriend. He got a girlfriend, and
Was she with him that night?
no, she wasn't with him.
Mm.
And see, he had different variety of girlfriends. He was out there. He had different girls, you know, and he was there. But he was the most beautiful young man you wanted to be. He was very mannerable, but he was caught up. I mean, if you get caught up in them streets, you're gonna get caught up, and it can either make you or break you.
Yeah, especially if you were getting high.
Yeah.
What was he on?
Okay, he was smoking that weed, the Hawaiian mist, and he was smoking on the Thai stick,
But use the
and
weed.
feed basin.
Yeah, but use the weed. You get high, but he wasn't on nothing heavier
But
than
now,
that.
but see, they got this weed now. They lace with methamphetamine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They lace that weed,
Mm-hmm.
and the weed come from way back there in Panama. And it come by the time it get to California, to the United States, it's been stepped on. I don't know how many times.
Mm-hmm.
And so you might be smoking weed that got methamphetamine in it, or meth, or cocaine, and they be lacing it with the crack cocaine. So he was caught up. He was caught up in his own mind, and so now that he's no longer with us.
Yeah. Well, I hope somebody got something out of what we are talking about,
Yes.
especially what Mr. Fisher is talking about, because you can get caught up. And like I grew up here in Texas, and I know I left, been gone 50 years, but I come back, and I see the same thing happening here is happening out there in L.A., in San Francisco, everywhere, and it's so easy to get caught up, especially, they got all kind of stuff on the street, say for instance, this lady went up to the top of the Jack Tar Hotel on O'Farrell and Geary, O'Farrell and Van Ness. And she had been clean for 15 years, they tell me. But she had been messing around with angel dust. And she went up in the top floor. That's before they started bolting the windows where you can't open them. And told everybody she gonna fly. And the police department, everybody was down there, trying to talk her out of it. And she jumped out of that window, and the Jack Tar Hotel is ever bit 50 stories or more.
Yeah.
When she hit the ground, it went hard, and she was almost flat as a pancake. You get hold of this stuff, it can get in your system, and sometime it don't leave. You think it's gone, and it come back on you. Look how long she had been off it. 15 years, they say. And all of a sudden, come back on, and there she was. You can get caught up. I've seen a lot of people at the LSD club, the Headrest, all these clubs, I used to hang around a lot of them. But I was a person, I was more of a drinker. I tried different drugs and all that, but it didn't appeal to me. Nothing didn't appeal to me but alcohol. I was in love with all alcohol. But for this weed, coke, all this other stuff, it didn't faze me at all. So, I thank God I didn't mess with it. I tried it, but that's it. And now I don't even drink alcohol anymore. I'm off everything. Only thing I'm on now is trying to do the right thing, go to church and try to do the right thing and please God Almighty. That's the only, and As long as I please him,
Amen.
I can please my woman, and I can please my kids, you know. My mom and dad is gone now, so I gotta hold up the standard, cause my dad, before he passed, he said, I want y'all to really be family now. And I try to hold the family together. I got 4 sisters and 1 brother, and I try to hold them together. It's no time for recess no more. We've been to school.
Mm-hmm.
We don't, we're not having no recess no more.
No, it ain't.
The life is for real out there now. And you gotta use this to get through life now. I want y'all to, well, I'm glad here, Brother John, you came over and
Thank you.
did this show with us, and this will be our 2nd show. And we want to have more good shows, I mean, beautiful shows. You know, every time you see us, we want to have a beautiful show for everybody. And we want you to do one thing. Don't ponder it in your heart. Talk about it on the next Jess Turner Talk Show. All right? You can see all of the emails, the telephone numbers, and everything at the end of the show. Peace.
Peace.